All right, what's up? It is Cowboy. It is Tuesday the 23rd, and it's going to be a relatively quiet day in markets. We've got a little bit of data coming out. We didn't really look at the data last week, or yesterday, I should say, and we usually do look at that data for the week, so we will do that, but we do have the gorilla in the house. What is up, man?
Hello, I'm Gorilla.
Gorilla here.
Gorilla here. Everybody
Hey,
have no
man, I
fear.
just fired it up right now.
I mean, perfect timing, bro. That's
Yes,
what's
sir.
up.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I can smell the coffee coming
Oh
in
yeah,
from
dude.
my
I'm
phone. Yep.
yeah, just drinking some coffee right now.
Oh, a cup too. It's cool.
I'm on cup one, man.
Yeah, I do some coffee. So yeah, man, I was just gonna start dipping into some of the data that's
Well,
coming.
let's dip. Because when you dip, I dip, we dip.
All right.
Put your hand
Put
up
your
on
hand
my
up
head.
on my hip. When I dip, you dip. Dude, that's like that song is like one of those lost in the halls of time. Like,
Oh yeah.
you know what I mean? That was I don't want to say exactly what year it was for me because then everybody knows my age, but let's just say I'm old. So Tuesday the 23rd, some data came out overnight on the European markets. All the different manufacturing PMIs came out, or at least all the ones that matter, French, German. You had, British, I guess the British kind of matter. The British pound, I should say, it matters to the pound anyway. And the PMI is the Purchasing Managers Index, and the US is coming out here in about an hour and 15 minutes. And so this data is going to talk about basically how manufacturing is doing based on the purchasing managers and what they're,
Manufacturers doing awesome in the United States, man. We are alive and kicking.
yeah, we're making nail clippers. We're making
Dildos.
lanyards. Oh yeah, lots of dildos for sure. Yeah, you're racist. Just thought I'd mention you're racist. You got what? So just to get into what that is briefly, it's a level of diffusion index based on surveyed purchasing managers in the manufacturing industry, and they actually have for goods and services, manufacturing being for goods, services being for services, like restaurant touring. If you're not making something, you're providing a service in the economy. It's one or the other, and it looks like across the board.
If you're not making, then you're taking. That's the way it works, folks.
It's actually pretty much the case.
Yeah.
Although people want to say otherwise and people are stupid. So you got manufacturing is down, services is up in the Western world. And that makes a lot of sense. And so basically, we're not making as much. We're just taking. And what I mean by that is like, okay, so who was I talking to yesterday? I was talking to a group of people about food. And long story short, we don't eat out very often. If it's like too busy to cook, then yeah, we'll go get some Thai food, whatever, right? It's not like we don't ever eat out, but generally we cook, and that's eating out is racist. And so we like I say, we cook a lot, and it's also a lot healthier when you cook your own food. You can't depend on a restaurant to be giving you quality.
I don't know, man. I mean, McDonald's sounds pretty healthy,
Yeah, if you like, diabetes. But, as far as I'm concerned, it's just healthier to do that. But the point here, though, is that, okay, so what's a McDonald's like Happy Meal these days? I think there's some conversation recently, like around $20 Happy Meal or something stupid like that. Let's take a look. Let's say price of McDonald's Happy Meal. Okay, let's see what that rolls. Technically, they produce food. They're not just a service. Okay, typically
I thought they were a real estate business.
Oh, actually, don't they make more money on real estate than anything else?
They do.
Yep. People don't know that. So it looks like $4 to $8. Now, when I was a kid, you never heard of an $8 Happy Meal. I think they were like $1 or $2. I know, obviously, that's a long time ago and all this and that and the other. But there are, look, you go to fast food right now, and it depends where you live. I know California is pushing minimum wage up to like $20 an hour.
Yeah.
So they simply cannot afford. They're just letting people go, and they're going to start have machines make the food. In fact, I did an entire show on this, on which industries or which restaurants are going to automate. You really think
that's what they want to do in California? They just want to like destroy everybody except for like wealthy elites who have. They're cannibalizing themselves.
They're cannibalizing. I mean, they're living.
But Gavin Newsom is a genius, bro.
A genius, I suppose. I think he's more of a genius. But I mean, as far as what's going on in California, like, come on, that was good.
That was pretty good.
That's pretty good, right? So Gavin Newsom is a tool, but he's a tool of the elite. And so basically what's going on in California is they want to pretty much they want feudalism there. And anybody that is like, left of center, whether or not they know it, they're like, whatever they're trying to do is going to create feudalism, right? So because socialism doesn't work. All right, so you got like a lot of people with money leaving California and moving to red states. So people who actually make money in America for like, the government, people who pay most of the taxes, all that kind of stuff, they're leaving California. So their tax base is leaving. And all that's being left are people who are either on entitlements or having low paying jobs. And then you got like California. You got like McDonald's, and they're going to have to let people go because minimum wage is going to get pushed up, I think, to $20. And so they're having to let people go. Otherwise, McDonald's goes under, right? So it's, whatever's going on out there. I know a lot of the kind of sayings is what California does, the rest of the nation does later. I think that might have been true a while ago.
No, a long time ago, not anymore.
Economically very intelligent, because people who run California are pretty much economically illiterate. So being that as it may, this goes back to what we're talking about, the Purchasing Managers Index, where wealth exists in nations is in manufacturing. Taking, I don't know, let's just say $50 in plastic and a couple $100 in metal, or a few $100 in metal and some glass and silicone, and making a car, right? So, you add, and of course, don't forget the labor and all the things behind it, but you have like several $1,000s in profit in a vehicle. But then what does the US do? What do we do here is, well, we financialize that. So all of a sudden now there's a loan, and then the financial houses get to suck up a bunch of profit because people don't want to save money to buy a car. They want the car right now. And, they have to take a loan at oftentimes a very predatory percent to pay for it. And so even when we have manufacturing, which is, what do you think? 2 generations behind China right now? 1 generation behind China?
Say again, what?
The manufacturing we have, what do you think? It's like 1 or 2 generations behind.
Shit.
So we had like
probably 2 or 3, man. It's bad.
It's bad. So when the wealth of nations is, and I'm talking about the kind of wealth that
the wealth of a nation is made on the speculatory floor of Wall Street.
Yeah,
well, man.
The U.S. is living off of the market forces of last century when we actually used to make things. So what's left over is a bunch of money that's been slushing around. And then whoever decided to run things thought that we could move our manufacturing overseas and still make money off that. Well, the people who own the manufacturing make money, but the common people simply don't make any money. We could have gone to more of a protectionist situation where we could have kept our manufacturing here and, done a lot better, but we didn't. And that's where we are. So now what we're trying to do is to navigate that. And we're watching this play out live time right here. We got your flash services PMI, that's up, right? Manufacturing is down, and that's across the board. It's probably going to be the same in the U.S. So unless the U.S. decides to retool, which is going to take 2 decades, it's going to continue into this direction, and we're going to end up on universal basic income, and it's just going to be ugly.
It's going to be wonderful. I'm ready for my neural implant, bro.
Are you ready for your neural net?
I'm ready. I want them to, instead of putting it in my brain, if they can take the implant and put it on my right butt cheek, I'm ready to be hooked up to Skynet, bro.
That's awesome. Nice.
Yeah, I mean, there's such freedom in slavery, man. I don't know if
there is. That. Well, when you look at Bitcoin, it really is over time. Bitcoin itself is not it's not a safe haven in the short term. So if you do see, say the stock market take a hit, then Bitcoin's going to take a hit along with it. So a lot of people who think, oh, I'm going to own Bitcoin because if the stock market drops 10%, then Bitcoin, won't. Well, that's not necessarily true. In fact, quite the opposite. It seems most of your dips in the equities market are going to include a dip in Bitcoin, especially on a larger scale. But over a longer time frame, Bitcoin has performed excellent against equities. Anybody who knows anything about finance, anybody who's been watching knows Bitcoin is up several 1,000% going over the past 10, 12 years. And it seems to be much like gold in that it is an indication of inflation, right? Bitcoin, is it really going up, or is just everything else going down? That's the main question. So let's talk a little bit about what we expect in the Bitcoin chart. Yesterday, we took a look at what might happen as far as a move up to this kind of 70,000 area, and it may well still happen. I'm going to take a look very quickly at the algos to see if that's a realistic move. But yeah, I mean, I can tell you that right now Bitcoin is bullish, certainly on the daily, although it's up against some resistance, right? So even though it wants to move up, it's going to need to probably take a little bit of a break. And I mean, it could be hours. I don't mean that it's like it needs to take like a week or anything. There just is on the weekly and daily a little bit of resistance. That's all. So as of now, though, on the high time frame, it is certainly bullish. The halving is over. Historically, we've gone over this. Actually, I went over it a few times recently. So if you watch our videos over the last, whatever week or two, you'll see that I've gone over the halvings of the past and determined that 6 to 10 weeks after the halving, price of Bitcoin actually tends to either stagnate or even go down a little bit, with the exception of the very first halving, which it just went up after that. So I'm expecting through, what is this, April 22nd. So maybe like late May, early June. Now, that's just going on history, and there have only been 4 halvings as of today. Those are not like very strong data points. And, I mean, look, the famous last words of trading, or maybe this time it's different, right? However, this time, like, there's not we can't look back at 100 halvings. We can't really get a lot of data to say, well, this is how it usually is, because there's just not a lot of data. So Bitcoin could simply do something that we do not expect. And if I were to lean into that and say, okay, if Bitcoin did something different than the last 2 or 3 halvings, what do you think it would be? My question would be, it would go up sooner. Or my answer would be that it would go up sooner. However, all we really have to do is, or all we have to base our thesis on, are the halvings of the past and the algos of the present. And for now, look, my strategy on Bitcoin does not change regardless. I have long holds. I have Bitcoin and crypto I have not sold since 2017. And so basically that's just going to continue up, I think. And at least that's what I'm literally betting on. In the meantime, we might see just a couple pullbacks, might see price just grab liquidity like it pretty much already has almost. You can see the price kind of was heading up and then it dropped back down. It might want to grab some liquidity right here. Before we move over to the private, we will take a look at the Kingfisher just to see what's going on with it liquidity wise.
What's going on?
All right, so yeah, just what I drew. It looks like there's a decent amount of liquidity from 64.5 all the way up to like basically the current price. So 64.5 to current price. What's going on here? What's going on here?
What's going on?
Yeah, so
somebody tell
that's it.
me.
That's just like where this line is right here. It's pretty much right there. So price is probably going to grab liquidity here before it goes up. It's a decent chance, It might just like barely scrape that. It might not go all the way through. But as of today, I expect price to kind of pull something like this, and it might take a few days. So that's my look on Bitcoin. That might be a nice long. I'll have to pay attention to the charts and see if I can actually grab a long once, once the conditions are proper. And look something like this. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see what the bounce looks like. That could be a 3 or even a 4 to 1. So, Gorilla Sir, what do you say we go over to the private?
Yeah, listen, guys, don't sit on the sidelines wondering if this is for you. Join us, the most prolific, the most enigmatic, the most incredible trading community on God's green earth. We are talking about AlgoFactory.tech. Join us or die, you savages.
Join us or die.